Hello! Now, because you people love these videos so much, I'm going to do another sort of rant one on some of the stupid comments I've read on my channel, where people try and sound smart about gas masks and respirators and everything like that, and then we'll go over why these arguments are wrong. Now, some of these aren't horribly wrong. Some of these where people kind of are just a bit ignorant over the facts, and then they spout something out that's wrong. And sometimes it's just people who are stupidly wrong, you know, and I don't know whether they're allowed access to a keyboard. So, the one I see a lot recently, I've had very smart people trying to correct me and say, you can't use the term gas mask, it's a respirator. Well, or, you know, it's another term I've seen as well. It's not a gas mask, it's a protective mask. Or it's not a respirator, it's a protective mask. Or it's not a protective mask, it's a gas mask. All this sort of stuff. Right, let's have a look at this, right. Folk gas mask. Now this is a Swedish one. I'm pretty sure we can understand that folk is like people's, public, and then gas mask. Wonder what that means. It's a gas mask, right? So, gas mask is a completely fine terminology. Now, it's not the term that's used in modern day. The proper scientific term is air purifying respirator, as in it purifies air that passes through the filter. You could also, I suppose, call it a filter respirator, but the point is that gas mask is a fine term, and if somebody says the word gas mask, we totally know what you're on about. So, this is what I really, you know, bugs me with this, is that, for example, the US and a couple of other nations, I actually think Sweden now uses the term protective mask. A couple of nations use the term protective mask. Lots of nations just use the term respirator. Lots of nations use the term gas mask or anti-gas mask. And lots of, you know, other nations might use air purifying respirator, filtered respirator, whatever. So the point is that there's lots of terms that you can use to mean the same thing. And as long as everybody knows what you're on about, it doesn't matter. But there's some people who get really funny about which term is used and will say anything you said is wrong because you didn't use a term my nation uses or one company uses for their product. It really doesn't matter. If somebody said to me anti-gas mask or just gas mask, respirator, air purifying respirator, filtered respirator, protective mask, you know, like airborne protective mask, something like that, we'd all know what they are on about. But some people need to get really funny because, you know, oh, I was trying to sound smart by saying it's not actually called a gas mask. So you get that, and as I said, that really annoys me. Another thing is this kind of, I don't even know if it's like nationalistic dick waving, but you get this very like nationalistic or company based. It's like fanboyism basically, where somebody will be convinced the masks that come out of their country are the best masks ever made, and everybody else's country makes awful masks. If you look at most nations, they've normally made both alright and bad masks. Some nations have made good masks as well. But the truth is, there are some, you know, with most nations, they've made a ranging quality of masks from absolutely awful to absolutely brilliant and everywhere in between. So don't you pretend, whichever country you're from, your country makes amazing masks. I'm a bit of an Avon fanboy. I really like Avon masks. But that doesn't mean every mask Avon's made is, you know, top tier brilliant. And it doesn't mean I can't like other masks, but some people get really sort of funny about if X country or company made this mask, it's brilliant, everything else is crap. You see that a lot where people say Soviet gas masks are crap and useless. Well, the funny thing was though, at least the Soviet Union made gas masks for their entire civilian population, which most other nations didn't bother with. So would you rather have something a bit primitive like a GB5 or be dead? I think we'll all go with the GP5, wouldn't we? So, again, it's that sort of stupid sort of fanboyism that unfortunately is now seeping into the gas mask community. Okay, and now speaking of things like that, we've got rebreathers. Now, obviously, as you know, with a rebreather, it is used so you recycle the air that you exhale. You normally have a bit of oxygen in it, I believe, to begin with, and I'm not trained to use a rebreather, which is why I try not to give advice on rebreathers, although I have one in my collection. An IP5, but regardless, a rebreather works with a CO2 scrubber, it recycles the air you breathe. The issue is that rebreathers originally were invented for divers. It was a thing before the aqualung existed, and those rebreathers are older. And there's lots of, you know, safety problems with rebreathers and everything else. There's stuff that's come around that's a lot safer, but rebreathers still have some really practical uses. Now, a bit like how nations, you know, people are saying, my nation uses this term towards gas mask, or I look like this term towards respirator. Some people get really funny about what a respirator can or cannot be used for, or sorry, a rebreather can or cannot be used for. There is the respirator point as well, which I'll get onto in a moment, but basically, rebreathers, because they were originally intended for undersea use, some people insist that you can only use a rebreather for undersea use. Well, no, it depends on what the rebreather's used for and intended for use for. Some people say, my country only uses rebreathers for diving, therefore that's all they can be used for. No. A rebreather lets you pretty much do anything for a certain amount of time. And again, some rebreathers can't work deep underwater. If you go too deep, the water pressure will force its way into the scrubber unit and kill you. So, you know, some rebreathers can't be used underwater, but lots can. There are even submarine escape rebreather suits, so they're obviously used for underwater, just as on land most rebreathers are apt to be absolutely fine. You know, so they can be used in toxic environments and whatever else, because you don't need an external air supply. But some people are convinced that you can't use a rebreather for something like that because their nation doesn't do it. And again, this is really stupid. It's kind of like saying, so I've heard this, you know, using the wider respirator thing, that my army only uses this type of gas mask, therefore you can't use another type of gas mask. Also, you shouldn't use a gas mask or a respirator for an industrial use. They're only for military use because that's what they were invented for. That's just stupid. If you can work in a job where a respirator or either a dust mask or like a chemical respirator would protect your lungs from the chemicals you're working with or the dust you're working with, you know, so you don't die of asbestosis or something in your 40s, something like that. That's great that they use it. Don't say you can't use that because it was originally a military invention. But I see comments like that a lot as well, and they are really, really annoying. So, another one as well, and this isn't just with gas mask videos, this is very unique. So people go, you forgot this mask. Because often I'll do a video, right, and I'm covering some points, and I want to say, this is an example of a mask that does this, this is an example of a mask that does that. No, you forgot this mask. You can't do this video unless you include this mask. Why does it matter? I've already shown something of that category. I get this on loads of videos. It's not limited to respirators, but some people think they're really clever to say, oh, you forgot X, even when it might not even be relevant to the video. I had somebody do that the other day about dust masks, where they go, you forgot X dust mask from your list of dust masks. Well, I was going from a dust mask to a half face mask to then, you know, like going through all the masks. And then obviously the dust mask is the lowest level of protection, and the person said, oh, you forgot to include one other type of dust mask. Well, it doesn't matter, it's a dust mask, it's crap. They're not of any use. You know, that's why lots of nations, as I've covered already, have already started ruling that dust masks are not suitable for, you know, respiratory protection for the people wearing them. You need a proper rubber half face mask or better, not a dust mask. And most people you talk to who do a lot of DIY of dust masks say, oh yeah, they don't do a job properly because I still end up inhaling lots of wood dust or metal dust or whatever. So dust masks are pretty crap. They shouldn't be used in my opinion. Now they might be alright for some very minor jobs, but you know, it's everything like that. It's also like when people say about those, oh, why didn't you include the surgeon's masks in respirators? They protect you. No, the surgeon's mask is to stop your spit or breath going on other people. It's not to protect you. They don't have any filters in it. The whole point of a mask like that is just to cover, you know, your nose and mouth, so you can't accidentally spit on people or whatever when you're opening a wound and sticking a scalpel in. So, yeah, I'm just saying, these things just annoy me because it's where people, for the most part, I think, try and sound really smart in the comments. And again, there are people who will correct me on things that I'm wrong about, absolutely fair enough. Lots of respect for those people, right? But, as I said, the thing that really annoys me is where people will try and say something to sound really smart and they just make themselves look like an idiot. Oh, the other one before I forget is bulletproof gas masks. Somebody was trying to tell me the other day that there are bulletproof gas masks. Alright, can you show me a model? He links me to a very generic respirator. It had a polycarbonate lens, but it was a regular one. I said, nowhere on this page does it say it's a bulletproof gas mask. All it says it has a polycarbonate lens. No, it's bulletproof because I've used it. Nobody's ever shot at you then, have they, when you've been wearing that, if you think polycarbonate is going to stop pistol or rifle ammunition. So, there you go. That's a rant video for the people of those of you who enjoy rant videos. As said, there's lots of people who think their opinions equal facts, which they really don't. Opinions and facts are separate things. Just because you want something to be true doesn't make it true. Hope you enjoyed the video.